So I love the name Voquinexus, but I don't know where it comes from. And you've told me that you've invented this word. So where does Voquinexus come from?
Yeah. So when I set the business up, I wanted to give it a name that meant something rather than was something abstract like naming it after an object of some kind. So I went to Latin, which I don't speak brilliantly at all, but I sort of thought about some Latin words, and I came up with three Latin words which I thought were relevant, and then chopped them up and put them together. And the three words I chose were vox, which roughly means the voice of the people, loqui, which means to speak, and nexus, which originally meant bind together, but has come to mean to connect and join. So I took VO from Vox, QUI from Loqui, and Nexus, and you end up with Voquinexus. So it kind of means through people speaking and voicing their thoughts, they come together.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it works in that respect. It hasn't been, I have to say, 100% success in certainly in some people's minds. One of the things it does, I read an article not long after I'd gone through the process of registering the name and branding the company with it, that said one of the golden rules for naming a business is if it's going to be a single word, don't make it longer than three syllables. Well, Voquinexus is Voquinexus, it's four. And another so-called golden rule was to avoid using certain letters, and in particular certain combinations of letters. And VQ and X in one word, they certainly broke that rule. Makes it difficult for people to pronounce it. Challenges people when it comes to spelling. Frequently, when people see the names, they struggle with the pronunciation. And so I've had sort of, a lot of feedback from people say, oh, not sure about the name and doesn't really sort of trip off the tongue and ring true and it's very long and no one can ever remember how to spell it and all that kind of stuff. But on the other side, in conversation with people, one of the things I found was I'll quite often get this feedback, if I get it, when I give somebody a business card at, say, a networking event. And so I'll give them the card and they'll go, Voqui, and I say Voquinexus. Because once you learn how to say it, it's pretty easy to say. You just have to put a bit of effort in to learn it. Although one interesting thing is that people who don't have English as their first language frequently have far less trouble pronouncing it than native English speakers. And they'll look at it and they'll try and they'll talk about it. And then they might say, yeah, but, and they'll give all the criticisms and the complaints that are just voiced. And then sometimes I'll say this to them and sometimes I'll just think it. You've just spent about 5 times as long talking about my business card than you have about anyone else's at this event. I think you're going to remember me, even if you only remember me as the guy who runs that unpronounceable company that does podcasting.
That's right.
And the other thing is, and you pointed this out, at one point I was thinking of changing it, and I reached out to people to say, what else could we call it? And you noticed that if you put it into Google and search for Voquinexus, you get a page full of nothing but us. It's nothing but the Voquinexus, this company. There aren't any others. There's nothing even close. That has got to be worth something. So it's been 6 years now, and I think I'm going to stick with it. That's what we are. We're about helping people voice their thoughts and ideas, and as a result, coming together.